Hello, this is Alexis Johnson. I'm the founder of Nocturnicorn Books. I'd like to talk about the Burning Hearts situation, the anthology, and the connection between the Burning Hearts anthology and a abortive documentary that was going to be directed by uh, a woman named Vanessa Hedwig Smith. And um, I'm gonna share some of the discoveries that I've made only within the last 72 hours, and these some of the more disturbing allegations that are coming forward as far as who exactly Vanessa H. Smith is and what her relationship is with white supremacists and eugenicists. So this is just information that was out there and it was widely available. The only thing that was missing was connecting Vanessa to her husband Don Weeden. So basically, the history of the Burning Hearts anthology and the abortive documentary film is is this. Um, Approximately 2 months ago, and I will double check this, but I I wanted to do a an anthology that was in sort of tribute to my friend of many years, the poet and actress and musician Ellen Mabey, and that was to be called uh, the Ellen Mabey Tribute Anthology. I've done several literary tributes so far over the course of the 10 years that I've been publishing as Nocturnicorn Books, and it began in 2017 when I put out the anthology Anthem, a tribute to Leonard Cohen, which was co-edited by Celine McLeod and my dear friend Jordan Gallagher, who died in 2020. And I was inspired by our mutual friend Marie Lecrevin. My history with Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center um, in Venice Beach um, goes very, 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 very far back. But I was a featured speaker in 2012 at Beyond Baroque Literary um, Center, and I debuted readings from a book called The Death Jazz, which was I was encouraged to develop this book uh, from a web post, or I had a kind of the initial version of the chapbook was appeared on the Outsider Writers Collective Department of Post Reality Studios page, and then some of the other pieces appeared in the magazine Vile that was put out by Patricia Cram, who was a friend of and colleague of Lauren Rhodes of Morbid Curiosity magazine, to which I was also a contributor, and then the rest of them, some of the rest of these poems originally appeared in the Schwibly webzine, which I founded. And so this is Morbid Curiosity magazine. This was came out in 2002 after I and had done a reading with Lauren Rhodes and some other folks at the um, at the Museum of Death in Hollywood. And so anyway, this is sort of the context. So Ellen had invited me to develop, um, encouraged me to develop this um, book, The Death Jazz, and then I did two appearances. One was one where I was a featured speaker at Beyond Baroque, and one which I read as part of an open mic reading. They don't really have a microphone there, so it's just an open reading. But the second time I was invited to read, so I was a featured speaker at Beyond Baroque, and that date, Ellen maybe was selling this book in the Beyond Baroque bookstore, and it was put into the archives, and I was there at the invitation of Richard Modiano, who I'm going to be having as one of my guests on the show in on March 15th, along with K.R. Morris and Emily Frank and Mark Olmsted, um, uh, all of whom are contributors to um, and Ellen maybe obviously all of whom are contributors to this book that just came out. We just put this out. This is our most recent tribute anthology. It's called White on White, a literary tribute to Bauhaus, and has a forward by Billy Martin, Poppy Z. Bright, work by Ellen Mabey, um, uh, John Shirley, who was the screenwriter of the movie The Crow, that came out in 1994. John Shirley has praised my work many times, and he's well, two times at least over more than a decade, and in his most recent blurb for my book, The Flowers of Doom, he said that Alexis Johnson is the Baudelaire of our times, of our time. So we also have acclaimed authors such as Caitlin R. Kiernan, who the New York Times calls one of our essential writers of dark fiction. We have Richard Modiano, the emeritus executive director of Beyond Baroque, who was the one who invited me to read back in 2012. We have Chryssa Villasario, who's the beat poet, national beat poet laureate of Greece. We have a return writer, Daniela Vaciu, who is the beat poet laureate of Romania. We have Mark Olmsted and um, Susie Kaplan Olmsted, who are esteemed, very esteemed authors and poets and good people to know. So there, Amelie Frank is in here, Richard Moriano is in here, and we're going to have them on the show, um, along with K.R. Morrison is also in this book. So it also features work by Jarabo, the goth industrial pioneer, Carrie Lee Crome, who founded a band called the Runaways at the age of 14 and wrote such songs as "Waiting for the Night" and "Secrets" and "California Paradise." Was featured in the soundtrack to the movie The Runaways, starring Kristen Stewart and Dakota Fanning. We have Tara Vanflower from the band Lycia, who's collaborated with and went on tour with Typo Negative. We have Ethan Maroulis from the band Spawn Ranch and Black Tape for a Blue Girl, and numerous other projects. Hazel Ann Lynch, who wrote the book Senior Fluffy: A Cat's Tale, which is I think is one of the most incredible animal characters since Paddington Bear. Aaliyah Celeste Williams and Sandy DeLuca, who are both my co-authors with for of Thunderstruck, a dark poetry collection, and the forthcoming Starstruck, a haunted cinema poetry collection, and John Pelisano, who is a Bram Stoker Award winning author and an assistant to Ridley Scott, and and our next book that we're putting out. Um, we're actually putting two books out. Um, one of them is called Hand of Doom, a literary tribute to Black Sabbath that also features a slew of Bram Stoker award-winning authors, beat poets like Merritt Walden. We have Greg Tomani on board, who's a, a renowned philosopher, poet, artist, and endorsed by the likes of Gayatri Spivak and Cornel West. And so we have, and then we also have Are You Serious, the founder of Mondo 2000 and Reality Hackers on board. The Burroughs book, um, as well as David J. Haskins, the founder, a founder member of Bauhaus and Love and Rockets, who wrote the song "Bela Lugosi's Dead." So we get really an enormous. Um, uh, we have Nicole H. Six on board. So incredible lineup of authors. What distinguishes us is we're not haters. Unlike Vanessa Smith, Alexis Krasilovsky, and their ilk, um, Alexis Krasilovsky is a professor at Cal State Northridge. She's an award-winning filmmaker, novelist, poet, and she is a partner with Vanessa Smith. Um, and they've made a movie called Women Behind the Camera. So Vanessa Smith is married to Don Weeden, who's the former executive director of the Weeden Foundation, which was started by his father, Alan Weeden, who is a white supremacist eugenicist. They've been implicated um, in funding organizations like FAIR, and they have close ties to white supremacists and close ties to some of the people that did mass shootings in Christchurch, Australia. So the worst of the worst of the worst. What happened was that so after I approached Ellen Mabey, so I mean, I'm just I feel very honored to have the friendship, long-term friendship of these people. And say, I'll just read. This is how it all started back in 2012. I'll just read some of the blurbs that I got for the Death Jazz, not to make a big deal about myself, but just to give you context. So how this all got started. Um, Alex S. Johnson's poetry is edging towards a new kind of hybrid multi-genre noir sci-fi surrealism. Go over the edge with him. John Shirley, Bram Stoker award-winning author of Demons, principal screenwriter for The Crow, lyricist for Blue Oyster Cult. Alex S. Johnson's Death Jazz collection is truly beautiful, full of vivid imagery and deep emotion. That's Ellen Mabey. And more last year, they both Ellen Mabey and John Pelisano and John Shirley and Gary Razor all endorsed this book called The Flowers of Doom. This is what John Shirley said. The Flowers of Doom proves once again that Alex S. Johnson is the Baudelaire of our time, the poet of the underground. His referential incantations summon new visions of the demi-monde from which all deep creativity arises. Potent stuff. You'd better sit down first, John Shirley. The Flowers of Doom by Alex S. Johnson is deeply powerful and thoroughly timeless, full of incredible imagery and keen insight, a map into the human soul, Ellen Mabey. Um, Alex S. Johnson's poetry is a raw and unapologetic journey through the shadows of the human experience. Echoing the rebellion of the Beat Generation, his work is a manifesto for the lost, a howl against conformity, and a call to embrace the beautiful wreckage of being alive. Dark, defiant, and unflinchingly honest. This is poetry that bleeds. John Pelisano, Bram Stoker award-winning author of Requiem and Placerita. Enter into the palace of fire where the darkness burns with incandescent horrors that will consume you. The images herein will seep into your subconscious and lay claim to sleepless nights. In other words, prepare for an epic mindfuck. Gary Razor, Bram Stoker Award nominated author of Less Than Human. So that is available for purchase on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and hardcover form. And so the cover was done by Sandy DeLuca. The cover design was done by Adrian Baldwin, who also does Phantasmagoria magazine. So that's that one. Um, anyway, so to continue, so these people, the Vanessa H. Smith, Hedwig Smith, and Alexis Krasilovsky, after I put out a call for submissions, what happened was that Ellen said, "Oh, well, I would love to have, you know, a tribute book, about me, but I really want you to do something about the wildfire relief." And that at the time. And so I said, "Okay, I'll do an anthology, but you have to name it, and then I'll credit you with having come up with the name and the concept." And she said, "Burning Hearts." So I started, I put out a call for submissions. Within a few days, I had a hu huge number of submissions because we've been around for a decade, right? So we have a pre-established sort of home base of regular contributors, that includes, Ellen and a lot of the beat poets, because I'm also in you know the New Generation Beats anthology, um, which was called the New Generation Beats 2024. I was in the book uh, Cut Up, that was co-edited by Joe Ambrose and A.D. Hitchen. I was in, and then A.D. Hitchen wrote the forward to my book, to my chapbook, um, Akashic Shotgun, which is pretty cool. I'll just show that to you. Um, and I've also done a lot of other a lot of other stuff, such as the fucked up fairy tales series that was blurbed by the Oscar, uh, Academy Award nominated filmmaker and animator, Bill Plimpton, who did the cover art for fucked up fairy tales. So I might as well sort of blurb, sort of promote some of my work. That's fucked up fairy tales is cover art by Bill Plimpton, who said witty and clever, Bill Plimpton, right? And then I have this is the first one, again, witty and clever. By this is the cover for Fucked Up Fairy Tales #1. There were 12 of them, and so yeah, so I've been, a dark fiction writer. I am, a satirist, dark satirist, erotica, bizarro, whatever. And this is kind of cool. This is a copy of Psycho by Robert Bloch that's, personalized to me. Um, anyway, so now I'm gonna talk about the situation with Vanessa Smith and Alexis Krasilovsky. So as I've been so when I put out the call for submissions, I started to get for Burning Hearts. I started to get these submissions, and one of the first people to submit, who was not part of my social circle and my usual contributors list, which is you usually have people like Michael H. Hansen. We have, Ellen maybe is has been in a number, and I've been in a number of anthologies and chapbooks with Ellen, going way, way back, also with John Shirley, going way, way back, um, and Mark Olmsted as well. But so I I was very, very flattered and honored when Vanessa, not only she and Alexis Krasilovsky submitted work, but Vanessa said she wanted me to consult with her on a screenplay that she had written, and of course I was a little puzzled because Alexis and Vanessa are such renowned um, screenwriters and directors, producers. So why would she be interested in my consulting with her on a screenplay when I don't have any background? Well, obviously this was bullshit. So basically, Vanessa began this process of grooming me, which now I realize that this is all along, this was planned as part of what's called greenwashing, something that is so you have these eugenicists, they're literally Nazis, such as Alan Weeden, who's you know who's dead, you know Don Weeden, who's the husband of Vanessa, and who has close ties with Clive Davis and President Trump and P. Diddy. Sean Puff Daddy Combs. They live within um, a few miles of each other. So basically, Vanessa Hedwig Smith, Weeden Foundation. And you have Donald Trump within 13 miles. You have Clive Davis, the music mogul who discovered Janis Joplin and Bruce Springsteen and whatever, and famously was in a gay relationship with P. Diddy, the convicted sex offender. Um, within a few miles from each other, Donald Trump over here is his estate, and then we have Clive Davis, and then we have Vanessa Hedwig Smith. And both Vanessa and Alexis Krasilovsky have read at that the Bedford Playhouse, which was under the auspices of the Clive Davis Arts Center. So Clive Davis, who lives over here, injected an enormous amount of money into into the Bedford Playhouse, which was renamed the Clive Davis Arts Center. So that's so 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 what you have is a perfect storm of hate groups are associated with mass shootings of this vile ideology of white supremacy and racism, xenophobia, anti-immigrant, activism. Um, so there's a guy named John Tanton. John Tanton is the key to all of this because John Tanton, who's dead now, but worked with the Sierra Club. He was an environmentalist and an organic gardener. He loved nature. He was also a Nazi, an eugenicist, and he was the one who came up with the idea of what's called greenwashing. Greenwashing is like hate groups using the cover of being associated with climate change activism and environmentalism, and in order to push forward their eugenics um, their eugenics ideology, which means literally genocide, literally genocide. These people, like, they're the worst of the worst of the worst. And it's so shocking, and there's such a level of cognitive dissonance that I have becoming aware that, like, these people approached me, they tried to get me involved in this movie that supposedly Vanessa Smith was going to make, starring me. And it was called, Burning Hearts. Um, and it was it was at that point, it was supposed to be all about the LA wildfires. And she had me hoodwinked for sure. She had me convinced that I was going to be a key player in this film, and I was going to, co-direct it with her and write it with her, blah, 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 blah. And I went so far as to create a poster art for this book, which was done by, and as well as the cover at considerable cost, which was done by Adrian Baldwin. Again, Adrian Baldwin is does all of our cover art and design and layout for Nocturnicorn books. So he's our official guy, and he also does Phantasmagoria, and so which was nominated for Rondo Hudden Horror Award. It's been nominated for a World Fantasy Award, and so I think it has like three nominations for this past year's work for the Rondo Hudden Horror Award. So I was in on the ground floor of Phantasmagoria, magazine as well. So it's very, very, very distinguished pedigree. And they're affiliated with they sort of co-publish with another publisher that publishes the likes of Stephen Jones and Stephen King and Clive Barker, all the greats, Ramsey Campbell. So I'm very, very honored to be working with Trevor Kennedy and Adrian Baldwin. So anyway, now I don't know when I started to be, I should have been a little bit wary from right off the bat, but Alexis and Vanessa are so convincing. I mean, Alexis Krasilovsky and Vanessa H. Smith are so convincing because they have these sterling credentials and they've been working together for decades and they have they're winning awards after award after award. You know, um, Vanessa wanted me to write a song that would be featured in the film, and she said we could basically have carte blanche of who's going to sing it. Of course, this is you know this is yeah, I admit that I fell for it. I fell for this. It was obviously bullshit, but you know, put yourself in my position. I mean, I've legitimately earned a lot of credibility over decades, and I have been praised by the likes of Chris Kelso and Anna Tambor, Marie Lecrevin, Ma Yongbo, who I'm doing a book with now. My work is in the collected with the work of William Shakespeare. I mean, in the Widener Library at Harvard University. So I'm doing pretty well, and so I have legitimate claims to fame. But so Vanessa, used that, and she used my disability, the fact that I'm vulnerable, because of my brain disease. She used that, and my associations, my close associations with people like Ellen Mabey to essentially help her and her husband, uh, Don Weeden, greenwash, greenwash their reputations. Well, ironically, and this is the law of unintended consequences, trying to like greenwash her reputation as well, put me, put her on my radar. And then when things begin to unravel a little bit, and it turns out that she didn't have permission to film at Beyond Baroque, let alone, you know, to do a reading at Beyond Baroque on the 21st, March 21st, with a wine and cheese thing, which is not very Beyond Baroque at all. It's more like New York socialite, insular bubble hate groups and, anti-Semitic, marginal. What these people are kind of infamous. I mean, the more I learn about them, the more horrified I am. I really feel like, in the words of my collaborator, you know, Oceana Teppenhart, like I really dodged a bullet, right? And everybody is kind of upset, but understandably, I'm taking it. I'm trying not to take it too hard because you know, no bitch, we ain't dead yet, and I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to turn this into something constructive. But it has set back this. It has set back the uh, the Burning Hearts anthology because Vanessa really pressured me to make it all about just poetry, and so this is another thing that I didn't appreciate. There was so much pressure. There was so controlling and manipulative. She and Alexis particularly was just very awful person. And so I'm so sorry. I can't really apologize because I would have no way of knowing that these people were implicated in white supremacism or fascism, that they're the wired in with Donald Trump. And so at any rate, now I have so many contributions to Burning Hearts. It's really awesome list of contributors, but but untangling is the key here. Untangling who's associated with hate groups. I mean, um, I don't like to think about this, but see what they do is they use legitimate people as fronts. They'll take somebody that is has no connection whatsoever with MAGA. In fact, is the complete polar opposite of MAGA, like me, Emily Frank, Lynn Bronstein, Iris Berry, whoever they're trying to enroll in in this documentary and in this bullshit documentary which there was no funding in and around, a series of concert events which never transpired, obviously, because Vanessa didn't do her research. She didn't plan this this movie. And then she blamed me ultimately of derailing it because I didn't plan the movie. Well, of course not, because I'm not a filmmaker. I mean, why should I? So Vanessa and Alexis have behaved in an extremely exploitative and hateful way towards me and towards Ellen Mabey, Oceana Teppenhart, and Aaliyah Celeste Williams, and really abused our trust. And so I have no, you know, they have no reason to hold back as far as exposing them for the horrible. They're not just horrible people; they have horrible personalities, but they're literally Nazis, you know. And what are you going to do? Sue me? I mean, all you would do is just bring attention to yourself, negative attention to yourself, because there's a little thing called discovery, and all of my assertions are like part of like front page news anymore of the New York Times and Southern Poverty Law Center has done pieces on Vanessa's husband and the Weeden Foundation so all of this is known. So nothing I'm saying is not known. Vanessa said to me that she has the highest respect for her MAGA Nazi husband, Don Weeden. She didn't say who he was or anything like that. Also, I've discovered through public record searches that um, you would think if she was so in love with this guy, what I didn't even know existed, until recently, on purpose, right? She has a different last name. She keeps that, you know. Another interesting thing is that the house that they share in Bedford, New York, is very differently priced depending on who lives there. Like it's about $500,000 for Vanessa, and it's like $1 million for Don Weeden. Also, and this has been confirmed through public record search, she has not lived with Don Weeden for the vast majority of the 30 years she's supposedly in this blissful marriage with him. And so what the hell, man? She was lying the entire time, and I believe there's no reason, and this is the best scenario to fit the facts. I believe that she and Alexis Krasilovsky and Donald Weeden planned the whole thing months in advance. That they were looking for somebody to whitewash their and greenwash their reputation, and they stumbled upon some people they thought they could use me and Ellen maybe, um, and this is not going to work. So I think that Vanessa forgot that I'm an investigative journalist too. So yes, I wear many hats. This is one of them, and investigative journalist is it is. So the next step is contacting, organizations like the Midas Touch, Huffington Post, New York Times, whatever, and LA Times, because excuse me, Alexis Krasilovsky lives in Rancho Palos Verdes and teaches at Cal State Northridge. And so that is, basically the latest report from the Smol Bear Show, Smol Bear Review, Last News on the Left, and I'll keep you up to date on, as I learn more information about this astonishing story that involves basically it's like goes all the way up to the White House. Well, actually, it starts at the White House and it goes down like that. So again, Donald Trump, geographically, Donald Trump, Clive Davis, Bedford Playhouse, Weeden Foundation. It's like that. So it's like, you know, the Venn diagram of these people is like that, right? Vanessa H. Smith is a white supremacist. I will say that. I will say that for the record. She is a white supremacist. This is all a plot. Okay. And if you don't like that, Vanessa, you can sue me. There's a little thing called discovery. Okay.